I'm Kasper Spiro. I am the former CEO and co-founder of Easygenerator, the answering tool for subject matter experts. Also author of the book Easygenerator Learning. And today I have Derek Bruce with me, who also will do a short part of the presentation. The presentation is about staying relevant as a instructional designer, as L&D in the age of AI. Because things are changing and a lot of change in our direction. And I want to talk about what is happening, what is actually happening, and what can you do about it. So that is where we are. So we know for certain that AI will rock your world. It will change so many things. The question is, what will change? When will it change? How fundamental is the change? And what will it do with your will, your function, and your team? So that's what we will be discussing a bit. A lot of people think if you talk about AI at the moment, you talk about ChatGPT and OpenAI, which is generative AI. Just to let you know, that is just one of many forms that AI takes. You also have analytic AI that can analyze data. You have AI that can actually tell the future for you. But you also have what they call agentic AI. That's sort of like the scary one. That's the one that can actually make decisions and act on that. So those are the ones that are scary. So the question is, what we have now is generative AI. Is that already a game changer for you? So can I see a raise of hands if you think that generative AI is a game changer for you in your day-to-day work? Okay, that's already. We'll think it's not the case. So it's not a game changer. Nobody. Okay, that's interesting. And who doesn't know yet? Okay, a few. Okay, so the majority thinks it is a game changer. So I think it will be a game changer, but I also think we are not there yet. Because if you look at generative AI, I'm not sure if you try to create a course with ChatGPT or OpenAI or one of the other tools, it's pretty horrible. Because the nature of ChatGPT and the other OpenAI solutions is that they scrape all the information from the internet. They look at what is most common, and based on that, they create your content. So you get like the most generic content storage. And when you create learning for your organization, you probably want to create specific organization that is exactly right for your people. So that is one thing. It's very generic. They also are content heavy. It's like really rich. It has almost everything. It has just too much everything in there. But that is the second thing. The third thing is there are no engagement. There's no interaction. There's nothing there. And basically there are no didactics. It is just content knowledge. So in my mind, if you create a course just with AI, it is not nearly good enough to use. It can help you to do stuff. So I'm from Easygenerator. By the way, we're over there. So if you want to visit us, please visit the tent. We already have AI features, but those are features that assist you as an author. They're not creating content for you. We have like a very important one is question generation. So when you wrote a text, you can ask our AI feature, can you create question types for me? And then you can choose the ones you like and put them in without any extra efforts, because creating questions is hard. So that is really an addition. And that is where we see AI for the moment mostly. It will help you do your job faster and better. We also have, it's not there, but we have just recently launched a course generator. And it will actually, based on input that you give, create a course for you. But it is still using most of the generic information from the web. So we're working to upgrade that feature so you're able to upload documents, PDFs, PowerPoints, Word documents that can actually start working with your information. And we're working on adding didactics to that. But also these things are there, but if you look critically at them, they're really interesting. But we're getting there. That's sort of the story. So I think AI will rock your world, but for content creation, it's not there yet. It's a supportive thing. So let's look at what we do know. So you see all kind of changing coming your way, all kind of changes. So let's dive in a bit deeper. So what I already said quickly, one that you will see a lot happening is that AI is there to support content creation. So the course creator, We have an AI chat interface, so you can ask questions to AI. You can ask it to generate like an introduction for you on text. We have like automatic translation, which is huge for a lot of our customers. We are global. So within seconds, you can actually translate a course into 75 different languages, which is like immense. We have text-to-speech features, but all of them help you to do your job better. So that's the story where we are. If we look beyond that, the interesting thing is that I think that the real impact of AI is not technical. I think that the real impact of AI is that it actually will move learning towards skills-based learning. So let's look first at the definition. So you have knowledge-based learning, so just presenting facts, so people have to learn them and understand them. And you have skills-based learning, which is about how to apply that knowledge, how to actually do stuff, how to change your behavior. So it's something that is happening already for a couple of years, that we are moving from knowledge-based more and more towards skills-based. But if you think what is happening with AI, then, by the way, I think this is settings needs. Wait a minute. You sure? Let's go, because I miss slide. Sorry, okay. Here we are, yeah. So the types of learning that are more skills-based, I just put a whole bunch of them. The essence of skills-based learning is that you immerse somebody into a certain context. You have to give them the experience that they are sort of working or doing something, and then they have to make decisions, and based using the knowledge they learned, and based on decisions you give them feedback, it goes right or correct. So it can be a scenario, it can be a simulation, virtual reality, augmented reality, all really cool stuff. Not sure if you ever tried to create one. So the simplest one here is a scenario. If you want to create a scenario, it is so hard. It is really incredible hard to do that. So what we think is that AI will be a big supportive thing there. So we think that if we can actually ask from the user, okay, in this given situation, what are the things that you should do? What are the things that you completely should not do, never ever do? And what are the things that sort of, you get away with? And feed that into an AI engine, and then that AI engine will probably create a scenario for you in the future. So I think that AI will help us create more skills-based learning. And for us, that's especially important, because Easygenerator, our target audience is not an instructional designer who creates courses. Our target audience is a subject matter expert. So an employee who does the work, who has the knowledge. So for them, it's even harder to create those kind of things. And I think that is the future. But the big change is that it will drive to skills-based learning. And the reason for that is this. It's something that I call the corporate brain. And that is already happening. So if you look at OpenAI and ChatGPT, it scraped information from the web, has it in an AI database, and you can ask questions in natural language, and it gives an answer back in that natural language. What I already said, the value of that is limited because it's so generic. What is now happening is that you can actually have software that actually does it for you, but then on your corporate information. So there are a couple of tools already out there. They're not really good yet. But for example, Microsoft has a tool called Copilot. It can scrape your SharePoint, it can scrape your OneDrive, your Outlook, your Teams, your whatever you have, and put all that information in an AI database. As I said, it's not that good yet, but 6 months ago it wasn't there at all. So it's growing really rapidly. So in a few years' time, your organization, but also every other organization, will have something that I call a corporate brain. Information that you chose, that you feed into an AI database, and that will actually contain all that corporate specific knowledge that you have. And you can use that for a couple of things. So you can use that maybe to create courses. We really believe, by the way, that those courses always will be like a draft course. We always think with AI, a human should be at the end point deciding to use it, not to use it, to change it, whatever. It's still an assistant that helps you out. The other thing is knowledge retention. If you have one place where all the information, all the knowledge from your company lives, which is really important, because if people leave your company, they take the knowledge with them. And the third one, and that is the most impactful thing, is workplace support. So if I have all that information in the corporate brain, and I have a device that I can just, in natural language, ask a question, and instantly, while I'm working, get the proper answer, that changes how I need to learn. Because I don't need to know all that knowledge. I don't need to have all that information, because I can get it whenever I want. So it means that our learning is pretty much focused on knowledge-based learning now. But knowledge, it is of course interesting to teach people the knowledge part in a course, because then they have seen it. But more important is, what will they do with that knowledge? So it's all about skills. So I think AI, with the corporate brain idea, will actually drive learning from knowledge-based learning to skills-based learning. And I think that is the biggest challenge. And that is another question I want to ask you. If you look at the learning information you have, that you present to your learners, so I want to see a raised hand. So who thinks that more than 5% is skills-based learning? So if you have more than 5% of your content skills-based, okay, we have covered. And 10%, more than 10% is skills-based. Still at 25? Okay. 50? Okay, we still have a few. So I think that I speak in my role to a lot of learning managers. And on average, they will give me, I asked them this question now for like 2 years. And on average, they will tell me maybe 10, 15%, probably less. And it depends a bit on how you define it, because you also have like a blended version where you actually are applying information. So it's sort of both. But then it is the minority of the content. And I think that this is where we are now. So 15% on average is skills-based learning. 85% is knowledge-based learning. And I think that the biggest challenge for L&D is actually this. We have to move from here to there. And the thing is that skills-based learning is a really different approach, and it is really hard to get. And there are a couple of other problems. But the first thing is, we need to move to skills-based learning, and I think that is a bigger challenge than all the technology. It's what the technology does with our learners. That's what's happening.
It's not.
So if you look a bit further, then the second problem that we are facing is that shelf life of content is diminishing, and it's rapidly diminishing. So the speed of change of things are increasing, but also if I look at our own tool, Easygenerator, when we started out like 10 years ago, we had like software that was on a CD-ROM, and we installed that on computers, and we came out with a new version every year. Right now, we do that every week, and by the end of the year, we do that constantly. So you're working in the tool, you go to a new function, and suddenly there is a change there. Things change while you're working. So that speed of change is incredible. And you have that more and more. So your phone, of course, whenever you don't do an update, your phone, sometimes have an update that actually changes your phone. Your car. So my car, for example, needs updates, and suddenly the way that my screen wipers are working is different, or it can drive faster even, stuff like that. The things are changing faster and faster. So that is really interesting. And the other thing that we have is a research from IBM. It's already a few years old, but I think it's still really valid. So what they found, they look at what they call the half-life of skills. That comes from radiation. If you have a nuclear explosion, radiation, you have a certain time that the radiation drops to 50%. And the half-life of skills used to be 10 years ago, used to be 10 years. Now they research, and this is 4 years ago, that is just 5 years. And for technical skills, it's just 2.5 years. So it means that that world is changing more rapidly. Your skills need to be updated more. This, of course, also means that your learning content needs to be updated more frequently. So you need to be faster, and you need to keep it up to date. The other thing, by the way, that they also found, and that is really shocking, those skills become more complex. So 10 years ago, it would cost you 3 days to, if you found a skills gap, on average, to fill that skills gap and get people up and running again. And now that has increased to 36 days. So not only is skills life decreasing, the other thing is that at the same time, it costs more time to actually get people trained again, to reskill them, to upskill them. Another thing, just a fact, a really interesting report, by the way, is from January from the World Economic Forum. It is completely about skills and what is happening. And they say we need to reskill within the next 3 years 1 billion people because all the new skills that are there. And if I look at myself, for example, I was originally a teacher. And in the end, I became the CEO of a SaaS company. We didn't have internet when I was when I was trained. So there's something, you learn that all those things on the way. But just look at AI. I never heard of prompt engineering like a year ago. I now I'm a master at it, sort of. I learned a lot about it because you need to know if you want to use it. You need to know that. So things are popping up all the time and you need to change, you need to adapt. I want to put that a bit into perspective because some people are saying that the speed of change is sort of like going crazy and you can't keep up. And very often that's the feeling, but if you look 100 years back, people thought that as well. And if you look back, then we are in the fourth industrial revolution. So the first one was by the steam, the water, making things mechanical. So just imagine that I actually saw a picture of the first steam train driving through the UK, and all people were running away, cattle was scared and everything, so it was like really disruptive. Then you got the division of labor, the electricity, you have mass production, like the Ford cars and stuff like that. Then we got in the 1969, it's the sort of the start of electronics, of IT, computerizing. And we're now, and they didn't put a date yet there, or what they call cyber physical systems. So we are talking about AI, we're talking about robots, we're talking about things like that. The thing is, all these developments, they have the speed of change follows an S-curve. So in the beginning, it's slow, then it picks up, it goes really fast, and then it sort of settles down again. But so these are like the 4 industrial phases, and they always interact with each other. But you see that when you are like here, the speed of change feels like incredible. The thing is, within all those phases, you have other phases. If I look back at my life, so when we got PCs, that was a big game changer for me. The web in the 90s was a big game changer. Then we got mobile. It was at the end of or the beginning of 2000. Now we have AI. All of them are also like those S-shaped changes. And right now, we are at the end of mobile. We're at the beginning of AI, and it feels, I'm still working on that, and already everything is happening. So it's really important to sort of place it in perspective. So for the next few years, it sort of will be crazy because things will be like happening all the time and you need to adjust really fast. But then it will settle down again. The only thing is that I can tell you already, then the next phase will start, so you have to speed up again. So that's how it works. Okay. Really quickly, we need to make content faster and more maintainable. That is important because that speed of change is picking up for the next few years anyway. And it does mean that you need to have a solution for that. And the interesting thing is that is what Easygenerator does. So what we do is we have subject matter experts create learning content instead of instructional designers. This is the process with an instructional designer creating content. They are not in the business, so if they create a course on a business topic, they have to start interviewing separate experts. They get all kind of information, they have to put that into their course, and you get sometimes conflicting information, you have to go back and forth, and it takes months to create an e-learning course if you do it like that. The research shows it's like 120 hours of work to create 1 hour of online learning, and it depends because you can go way more crazy than that. So this process is really ineffective. And the worst thing here is, once it's done and you have the course, which took too much time to create, you publish it in your learning management system, and then the instruction designer sort of is done. But the business is always changing. An instruction designer is not aware of those changes. You just don't know what's happening in the business. So there's no trigger to upgrade that course for you. So it means that those courses are outdated. I once implemented, we're just talking about that, a learning management system for Shell, the oil company in the Netherlands. And when we're completely done, we wanted to migrate all the crashes from the old system into the new one. And I said, okay, wait a minute. So before we put all that stuff in the beautiful empty LMS, let's check out. So we randomly pulled out 100 courses and asked the SME, check this if it's still up to date. And the shocking outcome was none of them was. And some of the courses were like 3 years old. So Okay, you can imagine that they are outdated, but some of them were like 2 weeks old, and even they were not perfect. So, and the reason is that the instruction designer doesn't know that. So the solution is very simple, and we call this approach employee-generated learning. Let your subject matter experts create the learner content. Make them responsible for the creation and the maintenance of the content. It's way faster, and it's the only way to maintain. Because if something changed in the business and they are responsible for the course, they can just go into the authoring tool, update it, publish, and you're done. So that is really, really crucial to be faster. And we have testimonials from customers that, well, Bruce will tell them about, but for example, T-Mobile tells us that actually they are now able to create learning content 10 times faster with only a quarter of their L&D staffs. Very interesting. I need to be aware of my timing. So the other thing, skills-based learning. And again, employees are the key thing there, because who knows how things are done in your organization? It's the people who are actually doing the job. So if you want to skill, reskill, and upskill people, you need to go to your experts and you have them train the other employees. So again, if you go to your employees, they are the ones that can also move your training towards more skills-based learning. That's that is probably more difficult to create, but then we will come to help you. We're working on that. So that's something that will come out. So I will now hand over to Derek. He's the former Global Learning Performance Manager Strategy at DSM Firmenich. And Derek will just tell a bit about his experience with Easygenerator.
Cheers, and just check it. Everybody can hear okay. And you're okay with the accent. Yeah, some people are intersecting, just double checking. Okay, so very quickly, so I had the pleasure of working with Easygenerator. And the company I worked with was a biotech company. And if you imagine a culture, it's people who like doing things the same way. People who like kind of making sure about what they do, they know, and that's kind of it. We wanted to make sure that the content they had was shared across the organization in a way that it was relevant, up to date, and easy to access. And we used learning management system and LXP similar to all of you guys as well. And the problem we had was it took days, months, weeks to get a piece of content to a learner. Problem being, by the time we got to the learner's like, well, hang on a second, I know how to do this, or it's out of date. So we worked with Easygenerator, and it gave us 3 amazing changes to how we looked at learning as an organization. One of the main things was people who created the content knew the content. So I work in L&D, I work in HR. I have no idea about supply chain, or finance, or marketing, all those really sexy functions. I know about HR, but it meant somebody working in supply chain could make content for their colleagues really simply, and just double checking, do you all know how to use Microsoft PowerPoint? Show of hands. Okay. Can you use Microsoft Word? Show of hands. Can you use Microsoft Excel? Can you use TikTok? Yeah, okay, if you can use most things, yeah, if you can use those 4 applications, you can kind of use this. And we realized our people could go into it, create content because they knew the job, they knew the activity, they knew the work, and they could create the learning. So that meant that their colleagues could see what they were doing. That was the first kind of big thing. We had people who knew the job, knew the content, creating learning. The second cool thing, though, which we didn't really appreciate, was their colleagues actually got content from their colleagues. So if you know John in accounts made something around, okay, share my knowledge here, financial year-end reporting, for example, another very sexy topic, if John made that particular learning, and then Sarah saw, oh, John, you did that. I know what you're talking about. This makes perfect sense. There's a level of acceptance, of trust of your colleagues making stuff, rather than paying some company thousands of euros or pounds, depending where you are, to do it. So we had people knowing the content, making the content, but we also had people who received the content, knowing it was made by colleagues. But the biggest thing we had, because obviously we love the fact employees are happy, they're engaged. The thing we really loved, though, was the speed of delivery. There's a phrase in food called farm to fork. Don't know if you know that phrase, which is basically so, if you have a chicken, deal with me, and the chicken lays an egg, okay, how quickly you get that chicken to someone's plate, farm to fork. And in that industry, it's basically the longer it is, the nightmare it is because the food has got to go through transportation, etc., etc. The same principle applies to learning. The quicker you get learning to an employee, the quicker they can actually start changing the skills, the behaviors, etc., etc. This allowed us to cut the lead time to 24 hours, believe it or not. Because in essence, you have to go into, remember, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, TikTok. You could go into it, create the content or edit it, and then get uploaded to your learning management system in 24 hours, which meant the learner got the learning quickly. So for us, it was a real game changer because employees got what they needed. They got the right content, we knew it was trustworthy, and as a learning and development team, it just also meant we had a lot less pressure to create content. Because I don't know if you know, creating content now it's not really a part of the L&D role. We do marketing, we do communications, we connect people, we do stakeholder management. But creating content isn't really what we do now. So the tool allowed us to kind of move away from those traditional things, get learners involved, get it to them quickly, speed up the whole process, and also make sure the whole farm to fork concept was really, really cool. That's just a very quick and dirty, and also true, they're not paying me, so this is very true, way of how we used it as well. Here, there.
So, if you are moving in that direction, and by the way, with AI, you know that things are changing, your role will be changing. And the interesting thing is that if you look at the content that you create, you can divide that. There's like top-down content, and there's bottom-up content. The top-down content is the mandatory training, so compliance training, security training, all these kind of things. And those are things that you need to have like pitch perfect, because you need to be able to prove that people are actually applying the law in the right way. So you need to make sure you track and trace that. So it is something you need to control as L&D. But it's only like maybe 5% of your learning content. The rest is business related. And for the rest, you shouldn't be the one who creates it. You should be the one probably manage that, steer that, control that. So your role is changing there. So you become like a designer or a co-designer, a co-creator. You can check the quality, you can coach people, you can manage things, but you shouldn't take over the responsibility of creating the content and especially maintaining the content, because that's the benefit of using your employees for that. The interesting thing is if you do that, you get way more time to focus on those big projects you need to do, the compliance and security and everything. So you need to sort of rethink your role with your priorities. And if you use your SME wisely, you actually will get more time available to focus on your key projects. And if you look back in your backlog, what you have on all the things you have to do, just imagine 95% will be done by somebody else. And you can just focus on that top 5% that needs to be done. Pretty awesome. So one step further. So if you look into the future, so where are things heading now? I think we will continue working on those AI features that support authors in creating content. So we're talking about drafting content. So again, I don't believe that AI should create a full-fledged course. So me personally, I don't want to live in a world that is controlled by AI. I love to live in a world that is supported by AI. So that's also how we look at AI for content creation. It will do a lot of things, many, many things. For example, collaboration. If you are writing on a certain topic and somebody else is also writing on that topic, AI can actually read your course and understand them and say, wait a minute, Kasper. I know another guy. They're also writing on the same topic. Maybe you should work together and maybe you can merge your course into one. This can also, for example, prevent doubles from happening, because they can actually see, wait a minute, this course is already out there, so stop writing it, go check that guy. Maintenance is a huge one. So if it can read and understand your course, it can also read and understand things that are changing in the business. And it can actually flag content that is outdated or potentially outdated, so you can dive in and actually update it on time. The other one, skills-based learning, already mentioned that. I think AI will play a big role. It's really hard to create proper skills-based learning, but I actually think AI will really help us out there. So those are all really important things. But more importantly, I'm currently working on an instruction design framework for SMEs. So instruction design rules for SMEs. And I'm working on a specific methodology from SMEs. So like Eddie and Sam that we have for instruction designers, but then sort of simplified and focused on SMEs. And the idea is that we'll put that into an AI database. So you then get an AI instructional designer helping the SME create better courses and do it faster. And you have a coach, if they are creating content, looking over the shoulder, advising them on how they can do a better job. So I think those are really exciting things that I'm personally working on as we speak. So that was the story. If you have more questions, we have a few minutes maybe for questions here. As I said, our booth is just over there. So we are like with 10, 12 people. So please, you're welcome, ask any question. Derek will be there as well. And the other thing, I wrote a book on this whole thing, Regenerative Learning. If you scan the QR code, I will leave it open. You go to a micro website and you can download one chapter for free, no charge, which sort of gives you like the whole overview of the story. So you can see if you like it. It's also Kogan Page, the publisher, has a booth stand. If you go to the first floor of the conference floor, on the right, there's a small book stand. If you want, you can buy it as well. But don't feel any pressure. If you go to the micro website, you get the first chapter for free. Any questions right now? No? Thank you. Then I would love to, I will be there. We have our colleagues there. So if you have any questions, come up to us one-on-one and we'll answer them. Thank you for your attention.